So we are on, and then I've started the recording. Right. So welcome everyone to 2020 APAC Groundbreakers Virtual Tour by APAC OEC. This year, our event would be the biggest ever one done with 174 sessions, including normal sessions, workshops, and hands-on labs from 123 different speakers over 11 days. Also, it would cover 4 different languages. Please remember to register as many sessions as you can, and all sessions would be available to replay as many times you want for 2 weeks after the initial session's date and time. You can also interact with speaker at any time during the 2 weeks by posting questions or comments directly in the playback session page. And we would like to thank you to all our sponsors, Oracle user groups, Java user groups, and our sponsors, Groundbreakers and Cloud TV, for making this event possible. And for today's session, we have Edelweiss Kammermann presenting using ADWC machine learning and Oracle Analytics Cloud for proactive analytics. And you can ask the questions at Q&A chat tab in Zoom webinar. Uh, we will take the questions at the end of the session. And without any delays, I would like to hand over to you, Edelweiss, and then there you go. It's
Perfect.
up to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Uh, so let me share my screen.
Yes, please.
Okay. Give me 1 second. Okay. Let me share it. Okay.
Yes.
So,
What's up?
sorry about it. That is not
No
one.
problem.
Oh, here we are. Okay. Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's, first of all, thank you so much for attending my session. We're going to talk about Oracle Cloud, autonomous data warehouse, and machine learning, and how we can use Oracle machine learning with Analytics Cloud and also with autonomous data warehouse cloud. So let's start. I'm working for a company that is called IT Conversions. It's a global company. It's a company that has offices in US, in Latin America, and in India. This we are working as a platinum partner for Oracle for more than 20 years. We have different offerings, consulting projects, support, hosting for EBS, SOA, database, and obviously for analytics. So we depend, in addition to the offices that are around the globe, we also work remote, and we were remote before COVID. So, for example, in Uruguay, we don't have an office, but I'm from Uruguay, and but I work remote and I have a global team with people in Latin America, in India, and in US. So my name is Edelweiss Kammermann. It's quite complicated, so everybody call me Edel. It's easier. And I'm from Uruguay. I'm computer engineer. My expertise is analytics, data integration, and machine learning. I have more than 20 years of working with Oracle technologies and managing projects. I'm a very active member of the Oracle community. I'm Oracle Ace Director, but I also co-found and I'm the vice president of the Uruguayan Oracle User Group. And I'm the director of education of Latin American Oracle User Community. Okay, so if you're wondering where is Uruguay, it's right there between Argentina and Brazil. This is Montevideo, the capital. I live there. This is our main square, and this thing that looks like a mothership is our airport. So if you see my background, this is the view that I have in front of my home. Not right now because it's 11 p.m., but during the day. Okay. Another thing that I want to share with you before starting with our session is about the Oracle Ace program. So Oracle has two main programs, Oracle Ace program and the Oracle Groundbreakers program. When you can be part of this, you can nominate yourself, or you can nominate someone else. And what is the idea? The idea is if you collaborate with the community, you have a blog post, for example, answering questions in forums. Do you want to do the same thing that I'm doing right now, like participating in conference, which is obviously a lot of more fun when you can effectively go to that place. But if you want to do that, just start this trip. It's a journey. It requires a lot of work, but it has a lot of nice things, really. Okay, so you can have the link there. If you're interested, just click in the link and learn about the OracleMania program. Okay, then. So the first thing that we have to talk about is what is machine learning. There are a lot of definitions of machine learnings in internet. So I choose this one because I think it's easier and simple, and it has the point, which is an application. So machine learning is part of the artificial intelligence, and it gives the possibility to the systems, to the computers, to automatically learn and improve by experience without you explicitly program it. Okay, so you don't have to do the explicitly say if this happened, then go there, and this type of things is not what machine learning is. So when and why we should use machine learning? Basically for predictive analytics. Predictive analytics, its idea is what is the most likely to happen in the future. This is the question that you answer with machine learning. Okay, so it's not 100% obviously accurate, but you will see a tendency, or you will have a very accurate result of what is more likely to happen in the future, depending on the type of machine learning model that you choose. So this is the first reason why you use machine learning, to predict something. And also when you have to work with very large and complex data. So sometimes we can use, if we are not using some large and complex data, we are working just with a small data set, maybe we can analyze that data set and find out, like, some analysis, like forecasting or something like that doesn't require machine learning models. But when you have to use very large and complex data, you need to use something else. And that is what machine learning can help you a lot, and also saving time and money. Another thing that is pretty useful is to avoid cognitive bias. So sometimes when we start analyzing the data, we are putting our own ideas or preconceptions in what it should be. For example, imagine that you have to predict the attrition of people in your company. So which are the people that has more tendency to leave the company in the next 6 months, okay? And you will say, yeah, I know it's probably because the salary is lower. Maybe it's that, maybe it's not, but there is a sentence, there's a saying that says, if you torture the data enough, it will confess. So that is the cognitive bias. I'm thinking that the result, it should be something, and I push in all the data to get my answer, okay? So with machine learning, that is not happening, okay? Because you are not, you cannot put your inputs in that way. And one thing that is happening right now, so before, I don't know, 10 years ago, you have to be a data scientist, you have to have very good knowledge of languages like Python and R, and you need to know a lot of math to create a machine learning model. But right now, machine learning is becoming accessible for everybody, okay? That doesn't mean that you don't have to learn about machine learning, but if you don't have much knowledge, you can use it anyway. So in OracleMania Cloud, you have the possibility to create and train machine learning models with no code required. So you don't have to enter any line of code. Okay, so let's talk about the type of machine learning. Let's talk about the common classification of machine learning models. So we can say that there are a lot of classifications out there, but we can focus on the main three, which will be supervised, unsupervised, and reinforcement. Supervised is the one that requires some guidance. So I need to specify the output in addition to the input. So I'm guiding the machine learning model about the result that I want. And I have to be specific about what type of result do I want. It's a number, it's true or false, or what is the type of result that I want. Unsupervised, I won't do that. For unsupervised, the machine learning model learns by its own and find patterns of the data. So you don't bring any output, okay? So that is why it's called unsupervised. You're not supervising the model, and the model is learned by itself. And then reinforcement. Reinforcement is like supervised, but instead of using only one data set, which is the initial one, it continues learning of the results that it provides. Okay, this is a continual learning process. In Oracle Analytics Cloud, the type of machine learning that we can work with, that you can create in Oracle Analytics Cloud is supervised and unsupervised. For supervised, sorry, is this. There are these three, which is numeric prediction, which is the result will be a number, 1, 2, 3, 5, 1,000, whatever. Multi-classifier, which is different type of values. For example, the example here is heart disease prediction. Okay, so you have a very low rate to have heart attack. You're probably having a heart attack in the next 2 years, or that's it, you're going to have a heart attack. Okay, so this different type of values, classification is the result. And then binary classification, which is 1 or 0, true and false, this binary result possible. Unsupervised, what we have is clustering. One very common example that we have is grouping customers by purchasing behavior. This is what Amazon, for example, or try to predict. For example, if a client buys a bicycle, well, it probably buys a helmet for a bicycle, things like that. Or we can do the clustering, for example, to create a loyalty program. Okay, so in order to group which customers do you have that has more value brings more value to your company. But we don't have reinforcement. Okay, in Oracle Analytics Cloud, we don't have it. In Oracle Analytics Cloud, in addition to that, we have, in addition to the possibility of creating and training machine learning models, we have some internal machine learning features that we're going to see. My idea is we're going to see some slides, and then we're going to go to the product, okay? So if you want to analyze data, you can access to analytic function as forecasting, trending, clustering, without having to say anything else than just select the function and add it to the graph. And there is also something that's called explain option, which is great to avoid bias, the bias cognition, which is, and we were going to see it, explain a column and try to analyze that column respect to the other columns that you have in the data set. Before going to the tool, to the cloud service, I really want to be clear about what is the usual machine learning process. So first of all, and it seems a little silly, but it is important to understand the business problem. What are you going to achieve? Do you want to predict attrition? Do you want to predict how many bikes are you going to rent for the next 6 months? You have to understand the business problem and realize what is the result that you are expecting with this. And then this step, usually people doesn't take care that much. And it's practically the most important one, which is prepare and analyze the data to build the data set. And that requires time. Sometimes you don't have the data in one just single source. Maybe you have the data, you have to prepare the data, merging different data sources. Maybe you have to analyze which columns are bringing value to that data set or not. How many historical data are you going to use? So all of these things, it's things that you need to define here in the prepare and analyze data to build a data set step. Then you have to build and train the model. You need to choose which model are you going to use depending on the result that you want, and create it and train it. Then you evaluate the model to see how accurate it is, and then you deploy it. You apply it to another data set. These are the features of OAC that you can use for the different steps of this machine learning process. The case that we're going to use and see in the example is the bike rental prediction. So the idea is that we have to predict how many rental of bikes are going to happen in the following quarter. Okay, so let's stop with the slides and go to OracleMania Cloud. I hope you can see my screen, my browser.
Yes.
Good. Okay, this is OracleMania Cloud. Okay, for the people that are not familiar with it. What we're going to do is to work. So in order to create projects to visualize data, what we have to do is create data sets. Okay, these data sets can be created using different things. You create a data set just dragging and dropping Excel files, using some connection that you already create, or create a new connection. This new connection could be almost everything, obviously all the Oracle stack, but also things that are coming from, for example, other cloud providers like Amazon EMR, or Google Analytics, Apache Hive, Amazon Redshift, MySQL, SQL Server, Spark, Snowflake. Okay, so you have a lot of options in there. For this particular example, we're going to use two data sets that I have obviously already created. In this case, it's going to be two Excel files. One of it, and let me show you. Here's the data set that I have. We're going to use the bike renting training, which if we review this data set, what we're going to see is a lot of columns that we need to find out. For example, in that case, the temperature, columns that it might affect the result. Like, for example, if that day that was rented was a holiday, was a weekday. For example, it was windy or not, it was calm, what was the temperature, what was the season of that day, okay? And if you see, we already have the count. So I'm using one data set to create, in this case, a data set that has an output already, okay? So this is the way that I can create and training a data model, okay? And the other data set that I'm going to use is a data set that doesn't have this output. So that is the data that I want to predict. The data set that I want to predict how many bikes I'm going to rent in the next quarter. Okay, so if we check it, this data set, obviously we don't have the count, because the count is the thing that we want to predict. Okay. So let's start analyzing the bike renting training, which is the data set that I'm going to use for create and training my machine learning model. I will double click it. And a project will be appear here. And one of the, so I can see here, for example, all the columns that I have in my data set. I can start drag and drop columns and try to analyze the data. But one thing that I can do also is to try to explain that the Oracle and SQL explain me which is the relationship between the count and the other columns in the data set, which is a thing that it will help me to avoid starting with a blank canvas. Okay, so let me, using the explain count option. So if I maybe it was too fast, right click, explain count. Okay, and it will let me know that count is a numeric measure, blah blah, and I will I see here the relationship between, for example, the seasons, which it makes sense. Not we rent bike when the weather is it's better, and when with the season is summer, for example. We can say if it's a holiday or not. And I can just select the one that I'm interested in see that. So for example, these three. Okay. And I just can add selected. And instead of starting with a blank canvas, I started with something that give me some relationship between this count and the rest of the columns in the data set. But if I want to, I can also create my own visualization. I just double click or drag and drop, and I can select many columns at the same time, but I just want to let you know, because I like it, how it changes depending on the data that you are selecting. So Oracle Cloud is choosing the best visualization possible depending on the data that you are selecting. Okay. Okay then. So let's start creating our machine learning model. In order to create a machine learning model, we use something that is called data flow. So let me show you what is a data flow. A data flow is like a mini ETL, okay, a graphic ETL that you can build. So the idea is that you can transform your data, you can merge different data sets here. And when you have these data sets in Oracle Cloud already created, it doesn't matter where are they coming from. What do I mean by this? You can merge a data set from a Hive table with a data set from Excel table. Doesn't matter. Okay, so you don't have to think about how I can merge this Excel file with a Hive table. Okay, it's a data set and Oracle Cloud will do it. That's it. So let me use the bike renting training, which is this one, to create my machine learning model. I can do something, I can do some different steps here. For example, if I have a big data set and I think that not all the columns are going to bring any value on this machine learning model, I can just select some columns and avoid the columns that, for example, instant is not going to, so I can remove it. Okay, perfect. So I can use like a subset of a data set that I created, and I can then create a machine learning model. So remember that we have 4 different types of machine learning model: trinumeric prediction, tri-multi-classifier, binary classifier, and clustering. In this case, what I want as a result is a number. Okay, it's the number of bikes that I'm going to probably rent in the next quarter. So it has to be numeric prediction, right? We select one of the type of machine learning models possible, specify which will be the output that he has to learn about. In this case will be count. Okay, some algorithms, some parameters that I have to fill. And then we are going to save this model. Okay. And I will put something like new model. And I'm going to save that data flow. Okay. And then I run it. And that is using, and I forgot to show you the percentage that I'm going to use for training the data model, which is the 80, and then apply the result. But so this is going to take a few minutes. Other features are going to be available. So if I can come back to my home, and data flow is complete. So if I come back to the data, okay, and see data flow, I will see my new data flow. And if I go to the machine learning models, I will see that I have a new data model. And this new data model, I can apply it to the new data set that obviously it won't have the output because I want to apply it and I want that this machine learning model is going to predict using this new data set. So I'm going to create a new data flow, okay, to apply this machine learning model. And again, I didn't write any line of code, right? So for example, we have bike renting predict. This is the machine learning, the data set that I'm going to use for this. Okay. And I'm going to apply a model. Okay. This is a data set that doesn't have the count, doesn't have the result. And I want to apply the machine learning model to predict what is going to happen for the bike rental in the next quarter. So I'm going to select new model bike. Okay. The predicted value, you can put a name of bikes, or you can put count or whatever you want. Okay. And you have to select which are the columns, okay, the input parameters for this machine learning model, right? After that, you're going to save the data and create a new data set, and you're going to analyze this data set after that, okay? So we're going to create a new data set. Okay, I'm going to save it, the data flow. Run it, and that's it. And if I'm going to, once it runs, I'm going to analyze the data that it was created, the new data set. So let me show you, for example, a project that I already created, because I wanted to show you more stuff. So I want to have enough time to do it. So let me show you the project that I created for this. This is the bike renting predicted. Okay, the predicted count, I didn't change the name. Okay, and I will analyze how the predicted count, for example, it's going to be in the next 6 months, for example. Okay, and that gives me the tendency of what is going to happen in the next 6 months, which it makes sense basically because in December is going to be more cold and people doesn't want to use the bike that much. And predicted count depending on the weather set. And I will see that when it's clear, we have more rentals. We have when it's cloudy, and when it's light rain, it's very less probably that I have rental bikes. Okay, so it's simple like this. Okay, I can just create new data set. And I also can add, for example, in that case, I added the data set that was the original one, just to see that the tendency, the trend is pretty similar. So I can, for example, do exit count and use the date. Okay, and I can create a trend line to see what is the tendency. Okay, perfect. And I can do the same with the other data set, which is the original one. Just for, for curiosity. And I will use count, and I can create a new graph here using the combo day, and I will filtering this information by filtering using the month. So month, I will see that it will be 10, 11, 12, no, not 2, 12, 9, 8. Okay. And I create also a trend line for this. And I will see that information, for the historical data from the last year is pretty similar. It has some difference, but it's pretty similar. Okay, just to analyze the data. Perfect. So this is with Oracle Analytics Cloud, but, and let me come back to my slides. What happens if I need to create more complex machine learning models? We see that we have a restricted type of machine learning models that I can use. Another thing is that if you want to use, for example, a huge data set, you have to buy a lot of power of OEC. You have to, you need to have a lot of CPUs in order to run properly. So if you have a huge data set and or want to use more complex machine learning models, this is not the right solution. So the right solution will be using Oracle Machine Learning, which is in the database and in autonomous data warehouse cloud. Obviously in Oracle Database Cloud too. So if you see this slide, which is from Oracle, and it's Charlie Berger, give me that slide. We have a huge amount of different type of algorithms that you can use. Not only the 4 type that I was mentioned before. Okay, so we can use Oracle machine learning models. And if I'm going to use autonomous data warehouse cloud, I can create, and I will see it, and I will show you right now, how we can create machine learning model users and using something that is called machine learning notebooks. So basically machine learning notebooks are based on Apache notebook. I don't know if you're familiar with it. But the idea is that you can, and it's based on Apache Zeppelin SQL notebooks. So this is an SQL notebook. It's going to be Python, but not yet. So you can create queries, and one important thing is these machine learning models come in a package, okay? And you can use it. Obviously, you need to enter some code, and here I have an example of this. Okay, you need to set some parameters depending on the type of machine learning model. So you need to, but it's not a lot basically. Okay, it's not that you have to create it from scratch. You are going to set some parameters and define which data set are you going to use, but you have just, some lines of code, no much. Okay, so what is the idea? If you have some Oracle machine learning models in an Oracle database or in autonomous data warehouse, right now we can use it in Oracle Analytics Cloud. So how we can use that? How we can do that? So let me come back to, can you see my browser, right? I hope that you can. Yes, I imagine that you can. Okay, so remember that we have some machine learning models that we can create here, build and create in Oracle Analytics Cloud. But we can also use a new option, which is called registered machine learning model. With registered machine learning model, I have the possibility to using a machine learning model that is stored in an Oracle database or in autonomous data warehouse cloud. Okay, in that case, I already have a connection to an Oracle autonomous data warehouse cloud. And here it will appear the list of the machine learning models that I have. In that case, I have just one. If I double click it, I will see the information about this model, which are the input columns, the output columns, okay, and the parameters. In this case, it's a decision tree, okay? And I'm going to register. So let me press register. It's simple like that. If I go to the machine learning models, I will see that just now I imported this machine learning model from Oracle Autonomous Data Warehouse Cloud. And how we're going to apply it? In the same way that we already applied for the data bike, the bike rental. So we're going to create a new data flow. One important thing is that in order to use it, you need to select a data set from the same Oracle database or autonomous database that you are importing the machine learning model. This is an important detail, okay? So I will add this one. Okay. And when I see apply models, I have the one that I just imported for the Oracle Autonomous Data Warehouse Cloud. Okay. That's it. Simple. And this is so powerful because in Oracle machine learning, you can create a lot of more complex and more interesting machine learning models that you can create here in OEC. That doesn't mean that you don't have to play with the possibility of creating machine learning models in Oracle Analytics Cloud, but it depends on what you want. So let me come back to the slide so we can summarize what I mean by that. I like this slide because it's use the right tool for the right job. If you have autonomous data warehouse cloud, or if you have an Oracle database, the way that Oracle machine learning is working is so much more powerful than the models that you can create in OAC. So the best way to do it is using Oracle machine learning from the database or from an autonomous data warehouse cloud, and then import, register the model into OAC, and use OAC to analyze the data and to show the machine learning results. You can show the results also in using Apex, for example, if you're using Oracle database, or using the Apache Zeppelin notebooks, the machine learning notebooks. But it's not the same thing. Here, the OEC is so much more intuitive, so much more easy to visualize data and to create very complex data visualizations, very powerful data visualizations, pretty easy, that this is the best tool to visualize and analyze the data, okay? This is the way that we already did it. So I have some recommendations for you. First, creating the right data set. In that case, because it's an example and I have just a few more minutes to to have this, to finish this session, I already built a data set that is pretty simple, okay? And it's already built. I already know which columns are bringing more value. But this is not something that is not going to happen in real life, okay? In real life, you need to build the right data set. And that means that you have to analyze a lot of data. You have to probably merge different data sources. And you can do all of that with the data preparation options that you have in Oracle Analytics Cloud. And these are going to take time. If you're in a machine learning project, probably the time that you build the right data set is 70 or 80%. So we have the temptation as IT people just to jump, into, I want to use the machine learning, and try to choose the model, which model is going to, okay. If you don't have the right data set, despite you choose the right machine learning model, it's not going to be an accurate result. It's not going to be worthy. Okay, so this is a very important step. Take your time to build the right data set. Okay, and it's an iterative process. You're not going to have it at the very beginning. So be calm, okay, keep calm and do it. The other recommendation is Oracle Machine Learning is a very good way to start with machine learning if you're not very experienced with machine learning. If you don't have so much knowledge of machine learning, you want to play with it, this is a very good tool to start it. So basically, I will say that it's for beginners, okay? But for example, one thing that is important, it has some restrictions per number of rows processed by a CPU. So if you have a very huge data set or big data set, this is not going to work for you. Another good advice is, despite you don't have to write any line of code, you don't have to have much knowledge of machine learning, go deeper and understand the machine learning concepts behind. I'm going to share with you some important useful links at the end of the session, but it is important for you to understand what is behind these machine learning concepts. Another thing is, if you have knowledge on machine learning, or you are using a very big data set, or you are a data scientist maybe, okay? Just use Oracle Machine Learning from Autonomous Data Warehouse or Oracle Database, and then import the machine learning model, register it into Oracle Analytics Cloud. That is the best combination ever, okay? So I have 3 minutes, so I will go to the further information. This is a library in Oracle Analytics Cloud that has a lot of some examples. Let me, we're going to share the recording and also the slides if I'm not wrong. This has a lot of examples also for machine learning. Okay, so there are a lot of data sets that you can, and data visualization project that you can upload. So download it from the site and upload it into some OEC trial that you have. Also, you have some free training. This is free trainings in Udemy about OEC, and there is one specific that is about machine learning. Okay, a lot of important information in the YouTube channel of OEC, and this is a very nice way to see how you can choose the machine learning model in Oracle Analytics Cloud. Guys, okay, so it's a good documentation about how you can select the machine learning model. This is for Oracle Analytics Cloud. For machine learning, Oracle Machine Learning, this is the main site. I really love this. I don't know what happened with my mouse. Okay, here we are. Sorry. This cheat sheet is great. So it will helpful. It's very helpful in understand how you can choose the machine learning model that you need, depending on what do you want to do. Okay. So here you have classification, regression, anomaly detection, okay, and clustering. So it's a very nice PDF that is going to help you a lot. And also you have a Coursera training. I think this training is awesome, basically, from Stanford University. You can register, and if you don't want the certificate, you don't have to pay for it. And it will go through all the math behind the machine learning, but it's really very, very easy to understand. It's very well explained. So I will honestly, I will highly recommend it. Okay. Okay, then you have some machine learning model explanation here. Also, this is quite good too. It's very clear about what do you want to do, and it has some images that is going to help you. Okay. When you have to apply each machine learning model depending on what you want. And for example, if you want clustering, you have enhanced key means, orthogonal partition and clustering. So it explains very well the type of different machine learning models and the possibilities that you have. Okay. There are some questions. How do we get the slides? I think we're going to share it, right? I
Yes,
have to
that's
share
right.
it with the...
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
We will have the recording, and as well as the slides will be shared. That's right.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, then. Well, this is the... So I honestly, I can talk about this like 2 hours, but I have just 45 minutes. So I try to do it very quickly and with a demo in order for you to see it. This is my information, my Twitter, if you want to follow me. With my name is quite complicated. So if you have it right, you can connect with me in LinkedIn or just drop me an email. Okay. Any other questions? I think we have 1 minute or something. Oh, we don't have 1 minute.
We don't have any questions in the chat bar now.
Okay.
And I think this is all good. Thanks for your great session, Edil. And thank you very much for everyone to participate.
Wait. There's just one. How is the adoption of machine learning among your customer? Are they clear on what they want, or that is one of the issues? Yes, that is one of the issues. Sometimes, and another thing that it happens because of a lot of marketing of this. We can do machine learning model like this. The expectation of people is like, you can create a machine learning model and apply to almost every single data set, and you are going to take like, I don't know, 2 days, right? In order to build it. And so there are very unrealistic expectations sometimes about what is a machine learning project. But one thing that is important is something that I'm also talk a lot with my customers and with everybody in every single presentation that I have is Oracle machine learning for every single Oracle database version is free. Since December of last year is free. So you can use Oracle machine learning, you can use Oracle data. If you're on-prem, you can use Oracle Data Miner, and that is for free. So if you have an Oracle database right now, you can start using it. You can start using Oracle machine learning, and it's for free. And I think that Oracle is not pushing that very much, but it's really important. It's a big deal. Machine learning, graph and spatial right now is, since December of last year, is free. You don't have to pay an extra license for that. Thanks to you, Fernando. Okay, I think we are good, and we are just past a few minutes. So thank you so much for being in my session, and I hope that it was useful for you.
Thank you. Thanks, Edil. And thanks everyone for joining, and don't forget to register for other sessions. Thank you so much, and have a good day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.